Hello guys, welcome to a Trading Parrot and to another episode of the Elite Private Trading. This is a session that we host once a week on Thursdays at midday UK time. And if you are part of our membership on Patreon, and if you're an Elite member, you're watching this live and you are able basically to interact with me and ask me questions. We do these sessions and we give you a poll that you can answer which coins you want me to do TA. Here's the list for this week. We got Solana, Ethereum, REMX, Rare, Syrup, Hype, SUI, Pump, CELO, XPL, Bittensor, BNB, Aave, and Aero. We got a long list of coins that we're gonna do TA. Of course, Elite members get to choose the coins and they get to give 5 hearts per week so they can select which ones make it to the top. If you haven't voted yet, you can still do it. They are going to be moving during the session. I'll keep an eye on which ones I have done and which ones I haven't. If you're watching this on Friday, it means that you're watching the recording. That session goes public for free to everybody. So I guess the main perk is that you can choose the coins and that you can interact live in here. I can already see some comments from my members coming in here. Hi there. Hello, everyone. And if you have any questions during the TA, let's say I'm doing something regarding the liquidity pools and you want to know another time frame, or you have a specific question about a different approach of TA, you're welcome to write it in the comments. I have it in front of my face, so let's get started. The first coin is going to be Solana. So let's go into the weekly chart on Solana and let's see how this is looking. Right. I haven't looked in Solana in around a week in the chart, and I can see that things have accelerated and we have moved into 145. That level in there is the largest level of the volume profile, at least in this region there. If we exclude the bear market, like this on the screen, you're going to see that the point of control is around 146. And we just pinched that level, and currently we are still holding it. But this bearish formation in here, and what I was fearing that we were gonna face resistance at 239. Of course, I always leave the door open for a new all-time high, but that level there was a revenge rally, not just on the price, but also in terms of the momentum. And this breakout in here that we had, it was a global breakout, not a global breakout, this was a layer 2 breakout coming from the initial one in here. Then we have a layer 2, and this is a layer 3 to be more precise. But that layer 3 has failed, right? It has failed big, because the first line of defense got broken in October. The second line was end of October, already broken. We could say that now we still have a higher low, and you're gonna see me struggling to find bullish arguments in here, because I always try to be devil's advocate. If I have a bias and I see something really broken, you're gonna see it in my eyes, but I still will want to push against my own idea, because you can be wrong, right? So we need to be trying to see if we can spot some signs that this might not be done and maybe can do something else. Since we lost now this global support in here, so from the low of 36, we had that support and it got broken, but we still haven't taken that. That is something potentially that if we hold, we can still go higher. And I'm saying that also from the structure of the price, not just from the RSI. We got this low, and higher low, and this is a high, another high, and another high. So this structure is still not fully destroyed. I will say it's destroyed if we start initially taking this particular low, the 129, that is too low. If we get there, of course, the RSI is going to do a similar thing. It's going to take down that low of 42. And then we're going to be facing a potential new low coming in November, which is supposed to be the most bullish month. Okay, so that is kind of the danger. This is a weekly chart. So if we close by Sunday, how high can we go? So let me see. This is the current candle. The previous close was 46, which is already a breakdown. It's not a massive breakdown, settle. And if by Sunday we can reclaim 53, then let's get rid of this one, which I already didn't play out. If this comes like that, then we get ourselves a double bottom, because that's the previous settled candle. This one is pointing down. Today is Thursday, so we literally have a 3-4 days to recover that and form a neckline and break out. That could bring us still that move to the upside, assuming that we don't settle like this. This settlement is just too bad, pretty bad, right? So it's breaking too far away from the global support, and that tells us that this whole rally is absolutely ended. But if you look from the distance, this rally coming back down in here and reclaiming in an aggressive way, it can still have some opportunity. Now, whenever I look for these opportunities for how can we recover from this disaster, remember, I'm being devil's advocate. I still have a bias that this is very damaged. So I'm forcing myself to find the bullish side of the chart. Because it could turn bullish end of November, things, if Bitcoin starts rallying and there are some catalysts for XRP, for Solana, and for everything, and with the government shutdown coming to an end, there can be a shift. I need to be open to that, and I'm struggling to find in the technicals that. Let's see on Solana, on chain, let's see, we shouldn't be in bubble territory. There should be some green things coming in. Futures taker, yeah, there are still people selling aggressively on Solana. That is also the case on Bitcoin, not just Solana. Let's look at liquidity pools. Solana, please. Any questions, guys, in the chat? You can just write it down there. So we already took the biggest risk that we had with the flash of $20 billion. Yeah, that did the full trick. There was no bigger pool than that on the lower end. Yeah, definitely we took the biggest pool on the lower end, and there are some remaining bits, but they don't compare to that. So now it's a matter on whether Solana really wants to go back into the low hundreds, into 120, and take all of this and continue with the bleeding, in which case I will say, well, we got full confirmation then. I think that we already have some confirmation. It's pretty devastating, not just from Solana point of view, but from Altcoins point of view. What we are seeing on Altcoins charts, on total free, USDT dominance, Bitcoin dominance, and all of those are saying very bad things. And we fail on every attempt. Like, for example, on the daily here, we had a breakout that also failed. We put a new low. So it's starting to gain too much strength from the bearish side, and it could intensify unless we do something really quick. So since this failed, what can I do in here really to try to bring in a bullish case? Well, I will have to, let's see what happens if I connect these two. Yeah, it's a bit too far. Yeah, because then you need to break up from 58, which is already too high. So I would prefer to place it from the same point in here and then say, what if we get this? But then you see, we need to break out twice to break out from this one. So it's getting very tricky. Of course, everything is possible, but the chances are becoming slimmer with the setups changing so much. The risk for the shorts at the moment is very far away. Price needs to go back into 240. It needs to go to 256 or 263 to really hit the shorts. Otherwise, they're going to get away with taking all the liquidity to the lower end. Now, this pattern on the daily, and remember, I'm going to be doing more detail on the coins that got more votes. This was supposed to be a bullish pattern, and it's breaking down. So we are getting a bearish break down from a bullish pattern. So that's another point from the technicals saying that there has been significant damage and it could be difficult to repair at this point. Price needs to start with reclaiming this, breaking out from the previous lost area, the layer 1, and then start dealing with the layer 2. At that point, we need to get it back about $200 basically to have any chance to go to the 300s again. Right, let's go with the next one, which is Ethereum. Let me see a little bit of social. No, there's nothing to say. Well, the longs lost the support in here. Nothing really new. I wanted the longs to take back this level, but that clearly doesn't happen. And you see how far now we are to do that. Like, can we do it? Yeah, but we need to do all the way back up to here, and then it could look like this, right? It could be a dead cat bounce of the longs. I mean, to get back into this area, we need very significant bullish momentum to reverse that. I think I ended up closing the tab. Did I? Yes, I did. Oops, sorry. Let's go back to Solana, which was supposed to be the next one. Let's see what sort of damage we have in here. And we have very interesting levels to deal with here. We have on the RSI, we seem to be having the most painful retest. Okay, so we broke out in June. We managed to do a revenge rally against the red line, and then lost the most bullish support, and then came here for a retest of 44.8. Let me see where is that in the price. I guess I already had it somewhere. 44.8, I think it was. I think we already pinched that level, definitely. So that was located at 3.260 and price went to 3K. It is recovering from 3K back above 3.4. That is something that I wanted to see. I really wanted to see that price defends both this line in here that is not perfect there, but I still respect that line because we pinch it again at 3.4, we pinch it at 3.5, and now we are kind of reclaiming it. So this is how I would like the price to look. Reclaim 3.4 with a close above that. That is also a point of control there, so we are above that level. The point of control globally is 2.6, but this one in here is the one that we are reclaiming that coincides with the support of the trend line, and that could bring us back that dream of another push high. If Ethereum cannot manage to do that, forget about Solana, forget about everything else. If Ethereum goes to 2K, Solana is going to go to 100 and something. This is the hope that we have, and it's coming from Ethereum. Of course, Bitcoin needs to behave, but if Bitcoin behaves, next we need Ethereum to do something good, and then we can get alts thinking about Solana or XRP. So we need both the weekly RSI to hold the 44. We need the price to close about 34, which is that point of control there, that volume hill. And then we can get some moves. And if we get a move from here, it's going to be tricky because it's going to be potentially, if it's bullish, I'm trying to find a bullish case in here. It will be something like this, getting back into 80s. I find it hard to believe, okay? But we need to be open. Let's say they start printing money like crazy and the technicals are all wrong. The ones that I already say this is not going to happen, then we can get into 80. And that 80, if you are part of the team of bullish people, will be, since we flash so many longs now, that is a decent capitulation on Ethereum. On BTC, it's not that big, but on Ethereum, it was big. So coming from 4.9 to here is at 38% down. Yeah, if we can use that in our favor, that can bring the price into RSI 80, which is 9.5K. I can't believe I'm saying this in a topping year, that there is a target that high for Ethereum. But if you insist that it is. We are in an area of value. It used to be that trend line, the area of value, where longs tend to come back, But since they didn't come back here and then let it all bleed back into the first percentile, that is the beginning of an area of value right after the previous one couldn't hold. From here, just like in Solana, we can do another move. Personally, I insist, I don't think we're going to go back into the top of the range with the longs, but you never know. Let's leave that 1 to 2% probability that we do it. And if we do that, we can get that RSI back into 80s. We already visit 85. So coming back into here is a bit too extended. By the way, I think I did wrong the calculation. Let me do it again. Did I put, I put 80. It was 85. Let's confirm this. Yeah, that's 85.20. So that is more than 9.5. That's 12.8. No, come on. It's just nuts. If you want to play that and if it plays out for you, please come back to me. You can slap me. I was wrong. I don't think it's going to happen. But there are many times that I say something is not going to happen and it happens. So your call, your risk. And let's go to Ethereum liquidations. Let's see what's going on with the daily as well. And we got this trend line of support on the daily that is currently reclaimed. Let's see if we put any daily close below it. I wouldn't say so. And we took partially all this liquidity. We just left the SAF 3K. There's a leftover right here. Hopefully, we don't need to take that because we risk putting a daily close below the trend line. So far, we are nicely being held by that. We are being held as well by the daily global support, which we actually pinched this time. The past time we didn't. This time we did, and we are bouncing off. So we are still fooling around in this area. Remember my last Ethereum video, I say there is a chance that now we are against resistance in here, we could break out, but there is also the possibility that we need to fill in all the triangle. Ethereum in here did it. In here, it didn't. It left a vacuum in there and started the rally before. So I will say more often than not, Ethereum needs to really fully reset. It's kind of a coin that enjoys the pain of traders, the last drop of pain, sucking it in before really doing the final move up. So there is a chance that we have from here. If the RSI remains in this area, that means that we have broken down. So that's not great. Ideally, we want now this to bounce and the RSI go for the RSI resistance and start a rally. That will be a rally from 51. Yeah, better than this one, better than that one. More chances we have now. Yeah. Because if we break this trend line is not great. Where is the liquidity on the upper end? We have a 5K, that's the biggest pool, and then it starts sharply declining. So that case for the 12.8K Ethereum wouldn't be driven by liquidity pools because they really peak at less than half the trajectory. We can move in here 1.6K up, and we hit that liquidity. As soon as we start going up above that, then it starts declining. Of course, once we get there, there will be new liquidity here, fair enough, but I wouldn't say that as big as this, because this has been accumulated throughout 180 days. And if we go up, well, it depends how fast we go as well, but you get my point. Let's go into the next coin, which is REMX. It's an ETF. So I'm not sure what that is, but I'm comfortable doing TA on stuff I don't know. Van Eck Rare. Okay. This is to do with rare earths. Let's see how this is looking. This is not crypto, definitely. We got an explanation. REMX ETF for swing long. The daily RSI is in a downward channel. We are touching support 40 RSI of that channel. So this is first entry. And exit will be the top of the channel, around 73 RSI. And everything here, I think you're talking about daily. So I want to look at the weekly as well, because there's some resistance incoming in there. Very big, important level at 77, which is currently rejecting this. That is relevant, and it's relevant as well how high we have reached already on the weekly RSI. So we tend to peak at 83, this peak at 85, and this momentum peak at 77. But watch out here on the weekly, because you can tell that it peaks early momentum, and it allows for a period of bearish divergences each time it has happened. Every single time. Like in here, you peak at a price of 74 and you manage to squeeze until 102 thanks to those bearish divergences. Here you peak at 94 and you manage to squeeze into 126 up until here. So you got a period of 300 days of bearish divergences, or even here, even more, 448 days. Here, you get your last peak around there. So 133 days versus 400 days of bearish divergences. Here you peak technically at $73. So if you do, let's say, something like this, sorry, I think I count this wrong. So your peak was that, and your last peak was there. So 140 days, 300 or 400. So it's significant, the amount of time. At the very least, after you peak momentum, you get 3 months of upside of price, which could lead into, I don't know, January, still pushing higher. That is analysis on the weekly. Let me see other questions. Yeah. On the daily, let's go into the daily, because you were asking me about that channel. Yeah, we are kind of at the bottom of, we are at the bottom of the range in this potentially parallel channel. It's not very parallel. I think it's widening. So this could be a swing for the daily time frame. We need to hold that 63 right there. Yeah, that's a level of previous resistance, and previous resistance there as well. And it's kind of a breakout as well, to be honest. So all this formation in here, I always like, you know, a V recovery. Well, it took quite a lot from September 2023 all the way here, and then you broke out, and then you're coming back to retest to see if this is going to hold, because this should have a target, something like this, placed right there at the neckline. So this should be pointing to 95. So if those bearish divergences on the weekly can bring in additional upside for the price at the cost of the momentum starting to decline, that on the weekly could be the play out. And on the daily is a position of advantage, because in here you are at 40 as support and you can make a rally into 73. That's going to give you a more conservative target. Of course, let's put it in the green. So that target, oh, confluence, perfect, beautiful. Mwah. 96 RSI, and the technical target of the bullish formation there on the daily gives you the same target of 95. You know, it looks cool. It looks nice. You know, you need to do your own assessment of risk and do your own research, of course, on what the hell is this ETF and how they perform normally. Let's go with the next one, which is also related to rare. Let's see this other one on the NASDAQ. Let me see the weekly. And I'm glad, guys, that you're asking more questions and driving the live stream. The live stream is supposed to be this, okay? So you need to you know, be more interactive to take the most advantage of the subscription. Of course, you are an elite member. You're paying more than Bitcoin than the Bitcoin articles, and you're getting this. So this one is called Rare. I thought it was to do with rare earths as well, but it's called Ultragenyx Pharmaceutical, and it's not looking great. So you, my friend Witnessian, can you please confirm that this is the one you're asking for? I'm assuming it's you, maybe someone else. On the weekly, it doesn't look great. So this has taken the lows, is at all-time lows at the moment, and potentially being rejected there. So I don't think this is great. I'm going to go with the next one until we get confirmation that that's the one you guys want me to review. I'm going to go with Syrup. Oh my God, I'm reviewing things that... So I'm going to need you guys to, when you put the symbols, that you actually put the full symbol. On TradingView, find the full symbol, so there is no questions on which ones I'm reviewing. I'm going to skip those two, go into Hype, and I'm going to wait for the comments for people to clarify what's the actual name of Rare and Syrup. Let's go with Hype. Hype on KuCoin, I need to do daily. And yeah, of course, many things have failed from there. We got this breakdown in September, hidden bearish divergence. Yeah, and I was calling for defending the 35. So the upside in here is that we are defending still the 35. That's the good side of the story. The pattern is really bearish, is resembling a head and shoulders. There was already one in here that played out perfect. It went beyond the technical target. It went to $20 and it already liquidated everybody. That's a bull side because all this liquidity is already gone. So if this fails, it needs to go beyond that, or it needs to hold 36 and then rally into 65. At that point, we invalidate the larger head and shoulders. Let's get rid of the one that already play out. Let's clean this and let's see if we can do some sort of head and shoulder. So I will say that this is the shoulder one, this is the other head, and this is the next shoulder. They are at around the same high, around the same neck. Neck is 36, 35, and target, my friends, is hopefully not negative, but this is $12.7. So the head and shoulders on Hype at the moment has a target that sets you back to the beginning of the rally in April 7 in 2025. That will take all the rest of the remaining liquidity. So what we need to do is we need to do everything that is possible on the daily and weekly to not put candle closes below 36, 35, and ideally do everything possible to cross the $50 and go as high as possible into the 58 to invalidate that head and shoulders. And I will say that even if this goes to 52 and then gets rejected back down into 36, it still looks like a head and shoulder. So it needs to go beyond that, in my opinion. Hopefully to the 55. Close 55, yeah, that no longer is a head and shoulder. It's going to be more like a triangle at that point. Let's see the RSI before I go back to the questions. I see some new questions popping in. Let me see on the weekly. Yeah, it's difficult to see this RSI. I should have put a different color in here. I don't know what I was thinking, but let's do it like this. So we got that channel at the moment, and we got that. So the support is 48 on the weekly. Next is 45. So we are potentially on the weekly putting a higher low in here, and resistance is going to be at 65, 66, 65. Support is at 46 and 65. Let's put the channel. 46 and 65 on Hype to give us in the price some ranges to play with. Let's enable it. So yeah, another confluence, 35 must be defended. We can go back to 35, we can even dip below it like we have done already 1 to 3 weeks, but we need to reclaim it. We need to defend that, put a higher low in here and start rallying into 65 as soon as possible. And that could be it, you know, that's 65. I'm not saying we can go beyond. If you want to be super bullish, the $100 is the extension of 1618, which is doable from here, but we need really desperately to defend that level. And the target is 62. So my channel on the weekly RSI is giving me the same targets as analyzing the price naked. And that is good. I love when that happens. It gives me additional reassurance. I'm going to take out these lines and go back to daily on Hype. And let's look at liquidity on Hype before I go into the next questions. Let's close Hype. I don't have trading different there. I don't have. There is this cluster at, sorry, is this the right coin? Hype. Hype USDT is priced, yeah, it's correct, 40. This is crazy. Why is it at $5,000? Maybe it's not refreshing. Oh gosh. Okay, let me do the login quickly because I'm gonna need to see liquidity. Just 1 second. Let's go with this account and let's go with liquidations and Hype, and let's do 3 months, which is all we have. Oh wow, okay, we have at 28 still a pending liquidation that is pretty large. We have a low hanging fruit up until 38 and then we have the 50, but it's not yet as big as I would like it to be. We have that level at the low 30s, and that is kind of a pain at the moment. Gosh, what's going on? What happened? Okay, fair enough. This is the actual chart. I think CoinGlass is playing crazy things. There shouldn't be any liquidity because we just wipe all that end, and the largest pool is 52. I think there's some delays on CoinGlass. That's why it's playing with me. 52 is the largest pool at the moment. We just have a little bit at 33. And of course, this took care of everything in Binance. But in other exchanges, there might be some. But since we are aggregating all exchanges in here, I'm on symbol, not in pair. If I use pair, I show a specific exchange. I could actually do that exercise. Now I'm curious. If I go to Hype in Bybit, and I go to the 3 months, there should be more liquidity on the lower end, assuming that we didn't, well, it shows us the same. Anyways, maybe they don't support properly each exchange, and they're still taking the candles from Binance, which gives a really poor forecast of liquidity placement. All right, forget the rant. Let's go with the next coin. And sorry, the questions. Okay, it should be maple syrup. Sorry. But what is the actual symbol? That's Michael. That's what I need, is the full symbol to find syrup. So if I search maple syrup here, I'm not going to find anything. So if you find it, you can, move down with the arrows up and down once you type it. Let's say you type syrup like this. And then if you move down with the arrows on the keyboard, it's going to give you the full symbol. As you can see there, it says, I don't know, syrup, Euronext, ... That's the full symbol. Or syrup, CryptoCap, or whatever. That is the one that I want. so I can really find which one you mean, and the same answer for rare. And then we can do that. In the meantime, let's do SUI. And let's do it on the weekly. And we seem to be a weekly support, but let's not do a spoiler yet. Let me analyze this mess. So this clearly didn't play out. We couldn't break out from there either. This is the best we were able to afford at that point, but we continue just to put new lows. So the third wave is already done. I mean, it's already really, really ugly. Because, for example, in here you have a low and a higher low. And from the higher low, you start this and you get a good result. This one broke down. So you already start with the left foot from here because you are breaking down and you're starting a third wave from lower. And we immediately noticed that this was being rejected big, not like there. So that was already doomed for the third wave. Now we can see why we were saying that. This already took the previous low. So we no longer have higher lows. Now the structure is broken half. The lows have been taken. The highs now could prove us wrong. And really, SUI needs to go there back to here to say, yeah, Mariano, you are completely wrong. We were just forming in here a double bottom and we were about to do a breakout from 50 and we were heading into the third wave. And all of this was just to trick you. It could be, right? I can be wrong. But when I trade high likely setups. I do not trade that setup that is hidden under the carpet that no one really sees, that is almost impossible that it's going to play out, and I put all my cash on that and I try to win the lottery with the trade. That is not me. Many people do that, but you see that they disappear from the space very, very soon. You know, they claim victory a few times and then they go completely quiet. That happens with people with too much leverage, and happens to people that start expecting things out of nothing. Like from here, I cannot do anything really to tell you, yeah, we are going to 80. Maybe we can go into resistance, into 49, which we have been trying to get there with SUI all this time, and we cannot. 49, where is 49? Where is that resistance? Is here. That resistance is $3. So a comeback from $2 to $3 is just going into the initial resistance. If we go beyond $3, then I will say you start having initial chances of a third wave that will succeed into a new higher high of the momentum. And that will have to come with a strong altcoin season. It cannot come by itself. Because look at this, we wick all the liquidity to the downside and we're still coming down. Why is that? There is no liquidity to chase in here to the lower end. If we are coming down, that is pure, genuine weakness. So if they don't inject quickly money, this is gonna already make it to the bottom of the bear market, which it already did it. So there you go. We went into bear market already. 0.6 was bear market. Anyways, really bad for the altcoins this cycle. Let's look at liquidity with SUI. Sorry, work got in my way. Dwave Quantum, QBTS, if you have any time left. Plus, I personally think we are missing in the tutorials on order book session. That will be great. My chat got stuck last time when you were proposing it. Thanks, Mariano. You're an angel. I don't feel like an angel. Anyways, here we have the liquidity on SUI, and we should do some more additional tutorials with these sessions on Thursday. We should not only do TA it gets repetitive sometimes just to see the same targets and same things. I prefer to teach concepts and stuff. And we can do that on the last Thursday of the month, but we could also Jose could send a poll sent to Patreon members on Elite and ask them if they want next Thursday me to do more tutorials on order book and on liquidity, trading different and all that. If people vote for the coins, we do coins. We always do it in that way. So SUI, on the daily and liquidity pools, we still have that level of 4.4 to 4.7. That could be the last thing that brings back this from $2 to $3, and then we break out to the upside. That's the liquidity that we're leaving behind. These people got really lucky to short 4.47 because they managed, some of them, to take profits at bear market prices in a bull cycle, in the middle of a bull cycle in a topping year. I would have never expected to get something like that unless it's Terra last cycle. So that is the upside, but here we have a breakout on the daily. It failed. Then we have this resistance. So now we have a channel that has a slope that is very, what is the opposite of sharp? Is very shallow. I don't know. It used to be sharp like this. That's the slope I like, similar to that one. And I ideally want this to remain below until the very last bit, because that represents a squeeze. And a squeeze that has been containing more and more energy until it explodes. That's fantastic. But when you already explode and then you get a layer 2, you know, it's kind of going sideways, this momentum, and it's not really showing the same strength. But anyways, we have a double bottom in here. We have a higher low on the other side, similar to this. So it's not a bullish divergence. It's not, no. Against the closing price, yes, but not against the low. Gosh, it's a struggle to find something bullish in here. There is support at this level of 189. That level is being defended. We weak below it, we came back, and now we are testing that. So I guess this level of $2 to 180 is the one that is gonna say now whether we can really go into $3. No breakout. You know, you could monitor, I guess, a low quality like this to get some hints, and that could hint towards a rally into 48 resistance. At that point, if you are in profit, you can lock it in with a trailing stop loss and then see if it goes beyond that. Not much more to say about SUI. You know, I keep moving this. I had it like that. I put it like this. I put it like that. Every single level pukes. Not much left to do with that. Let's go with pump. And let's leave the questions there. Pump. Okay, so pump is holding previous resistance as support at the moment. Is holding that 37. And on the other side, it's impossible to see it. So we need to drop the time frame to daily. We got a breakout in here, and we haven't taken that low. So pump is looking better than other meme coins, to be honest, because it's holding that level. It's just like, you know, recently the dollar index did that, and that's how we managed to forecast going into $100 and beyond that. And we did it when we were at $96, so that played out well. Let's see if we can use the same setup in here. You have a triple bottom on the momentum. We weak all the liquidity to the lower end, and we are defending that 37 with a higher low on the momentum. So this, if it defends that 37 previous resistance, it should go back into the 44 and hit that 57. Why 57? Because that is the area of volume. So I would have say 54, But between 54 and 57, there is clearly there an area of next resistance. Not judging by this, but judging by the volume profile and the highest level of 55 here. So somewhere around there. Let's leave the line. That is the next level, not the forecast. That's the next level that we should accomplish to bring back bullishness, because we still don't have a higher low on the price. We only have it in the momentum. And going back there and then coming back down into 48 and defending that will give us the full bullish structure that we need to build. Still, it's not there in place. We're only like holding the last line in the sand before we go to the listing price, right? So we need to go with the next steps. And we have a pending revenge rally into 74. So let's see where that is. So that is currently priced above the all-time high is 0.013. Let's say 14, 0.014. That from where we are is a move of almost 300%, and it takes out the previous all-time high. Let's look into liquidity. I hate these coins with those prices. They are so difficult to find, to read, so many zeros. So at 0.8, let's say, and at 0.9 is where we have the biggest liquidity pools at the moment. There is nothing big pending below the price. The pattern on the daily looks like a head and shoulders, so careful with that neckline, careful with losing support with pump. So another reason to defend that 36, 37. We have to defend it because on the daily or on the 4 hour, I think is this, it's looking like a head and shoulder. The price is not yet at the neckline. The neckline is 35.6. But if we cross that down, then the technical target is going to be pretty low, from 54 to 34. So it's at 20 lower. It will point to 14, 0.14. It's too bad. Yep. Let's go with the next one, which is CELO. Let's put it on the weekly. I don't think I have ever done anything with this. It looks really bad, but we are having some bullish divergences. Let me see if that's something that always happens. So this down, this is down, down and down, down and down. No. Okay, so we got a pattern in here because this is on a channel up and this is still on a channel down. And all of these channel downs in the price were together with a channel down in the RSI 2. So first time we are having a channel divergence in the momentum, and that's good. It could be good, but it needs to be defend, and we are right at support there. So now is the turn of the price to start rallying into 56 to defend that this is, otherwise this is just a bear flag and it's going to collapse to the downside. So that means that today or in the next few days, we cannot cross below 22. So that's our current support right there with the RSI, slightly below the price. The price is holding 24, but the RSI allows you to go up until 22, 21.7. Longs are out of the way. They pile up in here, helping with the formation of this channel. And we need to take out the next resistance, which is 41. That was previous support. We attempt that with these longs, but they got crushed back down with a low there. So here the longs need to step back in and prove that the next needs to cross that level. It needs to cross 41, otherwise we are going to lose the 21. Let's look at liquidity. Yep, so there's good incentive to go above 41 to 46. That's where there is a ton of shorts that could get hit. If we get, let's say if we get into 46, what happens in the price? Yeah, 46 is a good motivation. It's placed correctly. We needed to be there. We needed to be up above this close so we can get outside and test the idea of a breakout on the price, right? But if that causes again that we get pushed back below 41, that's another rejection. And, you know, if we go there and then we get another rejection here, watch out then for holding 42. Because if you break this way, then you're kind of done. You could do this and then do that. That's the equivalent in the price. Right, next coin is XPL. On the daily, guys, this is a joke. It's just crashing. There's nothing to say about this. You know, previous support got lost. That is level 32. Longs are coming in, but careful because they are the highest they've ever been. There's nothing to say about the RSI. It's just too ugly to analyze. That's a 4-hour rejection. We got the highest level of momentum so far, but this has already moved into 64. So there is a possibility that this could lose that level and then start a channel to the downside. We need to defend this line to continue up. But in my opinion, there has already been a breakout, and, you know, entering in here, you're halfway in progress. So this could fail and come back to the lows. This coincides with that. Here we have the high. Here we have the bullish divergence. That was the entry, and that is the resistance. I don't know if I can say much more about this. There's too little to say. It's just being decimated, and it did an initial attempt to reclaim that, but it's just only lows and lows and lows and lower lows. So it doesn't look that great. If you're considering a scalp, we can look into the liquidity of XPL. There's not even liquidity information, just on the 1 month. And we got that 444. Where is that? 444 is around here. Okay, cool. So if we can get and hit that liquidity, we are back reclaiming support. We're looking at the 4 hours. So on the daily, that's going to look nice to get into 444 around here. Reclaiming support is always bullish. But that's all I've got for this coin. I wouldn't enter on this if you haven't yet. Bittensor has been a bit disappointing, just like other coins, but let's see how things are going. It's not that bad. It's following with what Ethereum is doing. You see, we have this triangle, we have a breakout, and it's coming for a retest. The RSI did a breakout, but the RSI faked out. So we need Bittensor on the weekly to reclaim 52. Notice that weekly on Bittensor has never gone beyond 61. That's the all-time high of momentum, which is really disappointing. There has to be at some point a 70 or an 80. And since it's been doing just sideways, at some point it needs to break out. We hit also the highs of the longs versus shorts, which coincide with the momentum. So at some point we need to have a breakout if we get an altcoin season, of course. And this week, the task at hand is to reclaim 52. I will say that will say good things about the continuation of this. So if you already entered at the lows and you're holding a position in profit and you reclaim 52, 53, then that will be promising. So let's see, where is 52? I didn't enable it. Okay, 52, we need to reclaim $400 on Bittensor, closing this week. And at that point, we get rid of the weekly fake out signal in here. If we close below that, below the 400, around here, the last line in the sand is the triangle in here, that 372. So ideally, we want to be above both 372 and 400 to have some hope for continuation. If we close below 343, that is gonna be just another puke incoming, most likely. Let's do BNB. There's not much time left, so I should be faster. Right, so BNB broke down in here, this most bullish defense. We still have another line to defend, which is the global support at 47. Let's spot where that is. So 47 is defending $831. That's the level that we need to defend ultimately to have some additional upside in this rally. If we start breaking below that level, in the price, we are already challenging the 795. At that point, probably Bitcoin will have already broken equivalent levels, right? We will enter in the mid 90s or something. Then BNB will be challenging the 800 into the 750. And that's why we need Bitcoin to continue up, and we need Ethereum as well to do what I said in the beginning of the video, so that BNB can continue rallying. There's been a little bit of FUD around Binance with CZ and this other company that they were apparently manipulating the market together as market makers, and then they were suing each other, and that has contributed to this. So we got that support, and let's see if this week we can reclaim that 58 as well. That will be even more bullish since they discard some of those elements of FUD. Let's say Ethereum and Bitcoin starts reclaiming after government shutdown comes to an end. Let's see if BNB can reclaim $1,055. That will be the most bullish close for BNB that we can hope for continuation. Coming back all the way back there, we basically set 2 weeks down and reclaiming twice. That means that we have a beautiful, very narrow bull flag, and that calls for continuation. Yeah, you basically trap all the shorts there, and then the next thing is to squash them into another all-time high. Liquidity for BNB, we can do swing. We can look into long term, which is great. Let's see what is at stake on the upper end if that plays out. On the lower end, we have taken everything, but on BNB, there are some clusters down there that are a little bit worth getting nervous. We have 771, 688, and 483. Believe it or not, they're not that far, really. Let's see, from all-time high to here, that's a 64%. So they are reachable within the bear market, for sure. And we weak only up until here, so the risk at the moment is still pinching that $800, just like Bitcoin pinching the low 90s. But if Bitcoin, supports that idea of continuation to upside, if Bitcoin goes into 117K, potentially BNB can reclaim 1,000. And if Bitcoin puts an all-time high, there you go. That's it. We took 1440. All the shorts are out of the way, and Bitcoin potentially can bring that all-time high as well. So let me see in the chat if anyone clarify the symbols for those two. So since they were not clarified, please, Jose, if you can keep all the symbols that we couldn't cover today. So Aero, Ave, and then this REMX and Rare that I couldn't cover, and Syrup. And then in the community chat of my Patreon members, if you guys give me the actual symbol, then Jose can replace it in next week's poll, and I can do a proper TA of that. All right. If you guys are watching this video on a Friday, you can join my elite membership by using the link in the description. Just make sure that you join as a elite member, not as a BTC, because that doesn't give you this particular perk. And yeah, I'll see you next week on another one of these episodes. I hope you guys have fun. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.